Hi, it's Tony. On this episode of the Small and New Project, I'm talking to Brett White from White Knight Unmanned Aerial Systems. Today on the Small and New Project, I'm with Brett White from White Knight Unmanned Aerial Systems. How are you today, Brett?
Very well, thank you. And yourself?
Oh, I'm very good. Unmanned Aerial Systems. Tell me about them. What are they? I think I might know, but it looks like a boy's toys.
Yes, pretty much. So the term unmanned aerial system covers a lot of different types of aircraft and vehicles and systems.
Right.
It's a very broad term to say that it's a tool, an aircraft that is flown by a person on the ground while the aircraft itself is in the air.
Right. So this is all remote controlled. It's 100%
right.
remote controlled.
Yep.
Okay. So what do you guys do?
In particular, we're starting off with rural real estate, so
Okay.
helping people sell their homes.
Right.
With ground-based photography, you can get some really great shots,
Yeah,
but you
definitely.
don't get the whole context of
Yep.
where the property is in relation to the land and the gardens and that
Sure.
sort of stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, we're helping out there by doing both top-down photography and then
Yep.
stitching the photos together,
Okay.
as well as oblique, low-angle
Right.
photographs as well.
So you do the photography and then you put it all together into a fully edited package and everything from go to woe, or you just provide the raw footage?
We provide the raw footage.
Yep.
If the client has asked for a photo mosaic or an ortho photograph, then
Yep.
we will stitch it ourselves. Yeah, but
Okay.
we'll give them both the raw photos as well as any post-production photos that they've asked for as well.
Right. Okay. And so you mentioned real estate. Is there who are your other potential clients? Like, you do events and things like that? Because I imagine some of the big events flying over there.
Events are one that we're steering clear of.
Right.
There are a lot of regulations.
Public liability risks, or?
No, more so just the safety factor and an ethical standpoint that we're taking.
Oh, okay.
There are regulations in regards to how close you can fly to people, and the regulation at the moment is 30 metres.
Oh, really?
We have chosen just not to get involved with anything that involves too many crowds.
Right. Okay.
Purely because we think that's the sensible thing to do.
Sure. My last question on what did you do? I read that you have to actually have Casa Certification. Is that correct? Or,
That's right,
Or
yeah.
approval. So do you have to plot all your flights and register all your flights with them, or is it?
It depends on how your operations manual is written.
Right.
There's no regulatory requirement to log a flight plan for every flight that you do.
Okay.
Dependent on the circumstances, if you're flying outside of what your operations manual says you can do, which is a document that's approved by Casa,
Yep.
you'll have to get permission from Casa in the form of an area approval.
Right.
And that area approval may state that you need to log a flight plan. Generally, Casa would do that on your behalf.
Okay. Sounds like an interesting business. Sounds
It
like
is.
really good. Sounds like a perfect every guy's dream, I think, to do that. Which probably brings me to my first question, Brett. Why did you go into business? Was it because you had a fascination for flying things, or?
It's a good question. It's a question I'm asked a lot, and I still haven't really figured out 100% the right answer, because
Right.
there's a lot of things that drove me to it, I guess. I've always been interested in aviation, not so
Okay.
much flying planes themselves, but what the planes can do.
Okay.
So the sort of angles that they get to see that we on the ground never get to see.
Yep.
The sort of applications that you can put those sorts of aircraft to, and just if the risk of having someone on board that aircraft was removed from the equation, the sort of fantastic things that you could do, like removing the risk of a pilot dying from doing a power line inspection in really rugged terrain.
Yep.
I think that would be the perfect use for an unmanned aerial
Yeah,
vehicle,
absolutely.
where there's low risk of conflicting with manned aircraft,
Yep.
but also helping out manned aircraft by not putting them in that situation in the first
Sure.
place.
Okay. What size of the aircraft you're flying, or?
So we
using?
have one aircraft at the moment. It's
Right.
a Dragonfly X4P. From rotor tip to rotor tip, it's approximately 80 centimetres by 80 centimetres.
Okay.
Maximum takeoff weight is about 2.5 kilos. So
That's with the
it's-
camera and
That's with
everything?
the camera and the gimbal and all that stuff on board.
Okay. I'm intrigued by this. It sounds pretty cool. If you had your time over again, what would you do differently? Would you change anything, or?
No, I don't think I would. It's been a very long journey getting our Casa certification.
Right.
There's really good reason why the regulations are the way that they are at the
Yep.
moment, and I think they're actually really good standards to have for any society.
Okay.
We're leaps and bounds ahead of a lot of other countries. A lot of people don't like the regulations that we have. They think they're too restricting, but when you approach it from the point of view where you're having safety first and not wanting to cause any sort of injuries or accidents that may impact on someone's life,
Yeah.
you can understand why they
definitely.
are the way that they are.
Definitely. And are you the only guys in Canberra doing this, or?
In Canberra at the moment, yeah. There's about 25 people in Australia at the moment who can do it.
Okay.
They're predominantly around Perth, Queensland and
Is that
Sydney.
because of the mining, or?
A combination of the mining as well as the better flying conditions.
Oh, okay.
Canberra gets a lot of fog and wind.
Yeah,
so
sure. So you're restricted by things like fog, so...
Definitely, yeah. So we have to fly day visual meteorological conditions, which basically means we have to be able to see our aircraft as well as a sufficient area around our aircraft so that if manned aircraft come into the area, we can ensure we're not going to conflict in their airspace.
Right, okay. And what's the range? I'm asking more questions about your remote control things than the actual interview project questions, but what's the range of...
So there's two parts to range. There's the technical limitation and the regulatory limitation.
Oh, okay.
The regulation says that we have to fly visual line of sight unaided, so we're not allowed to use binoculars or anything like that. So that would limit to below 500 metres.
Sure, okay, but what is technically, could they do?
Depends on the sort of radio equipment that you have. You could be going from anywhere from 500 metres if you've got high bandwidth but low powered 5.8 gigahertz to hundreds of kilometres.
Okay, excellent. And what's been, or what is, or has been your biggest challenge in business so far?
The regulation
The
approval.
regulations?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
There's no way around it though, like you have to be regulated?
That's right, yeah, no, there's absolutely no way around that.
So there's no fly-by-night, so to speak, out there?
No.
And how do you balance working on your business versus in your business, right?
That's a really difficult one.
Yep.
Because I really enjoy the business development side of things and writing policy and procedure as well as flying the aircraft.
You're one of the rare business owners who enjoys doing that sort of stuff.
Well, I don't like the books. I like writing policy and procedure.
Right, okay.
It is difficult to step away from doing the administrative side of things and the managerial side of things and actually getting on the ground and doing the operations side of things.
Sure.
I guess it takes motivation.
Do you structure, like, do you have a strategy or a process where you do that, or how you do that? Do you actually, like, dedicate X number of hours a day or a week, or...
Yeah, generally Fridays are our operations days.
Right.
So we try to get everything that we can done on a Friday done on that day.
Okay.
And if weather isn't permitting, we'll do that on a Saturday or a Sunday.
Right. Okay, so you're a 7-day-a-week operation, like, depending
3-day-a-week at the moment.
3-day, okay.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. And that obviously will scale up as you get more, more demand and everything like that as well, or...
Definitely, yeah.
Because the potential is more than just the real estate. There's a whole lot of, I can think of heaps of different applications for it, which I'm sure you already have as well. But no, it's good. Okay, so you've got structure doing that. And my final question for you, Brett, is somebody new coming into business. What advice would you have for them, sort of based on your learnings?
2 pieces of advice that I would have would be persistent and patient.
Yep.
The second piece of advice I would give is that you should surround yourself with the professionals who know their business.
Sure.
Get friendly with lawyers, with accountants, with financial planners, even digital design, all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
Talk to the people who know what they're doing, and if you have the financial ability to offload that stuff, definitely do it, because it just takes a whole lot of stress out of the equation.
Absolutely. No, that's very good advice, and that's one that a lot of people neglect to do, and that way they get so busy doing the day-to-day things on their business, they need to outsource what they're not experts at.
Definitely.
Excellent. All right, Brett, look, intriguing business. Thank you very much for taking part in the small interview project, and thanks for your time.
Thank you.